Hello, this is Jon Miller, the creator of the Rest of Everest. I think I can safely say that this show is, without a doubt, the most in-depth look into the entire experience of what it takes to climb Everest, as well as some other peaks throughout the Himalayas. But all of the events in the series are shown in chronological order, so if you're new to the show, please go all the way back to episode 000 and watch everything in order. That's truly the best way to enjoy it. Thanks.
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience.
Hi everyone, Jon Miller here. We have just one more regular episode from season 5 that I'll release next week. But before that, I wanted to release a few extra episodes consisting of team interviews Chris Marquardt filmed back in 2010 while we were trekking to the Kangshung face. These interviews are a lot of fun, but they just didn't fit into the typical episodes. So here they are in their entirety. We're going to continue on from part 2 with Stefan, Shakeel, Nicole, and Chris. Oh, one more thing. There is still room on our 2013 Kailash workshop trek. If you'd like to be a part of this incredible experience and, maybe yourself be a part of the future episodes of the Rest of Everest, please visit HimalayanWorkshops.com, or you can always just shoot me an email, Jon@therestofeverest, and I'll get you all the information and get you taken care of. We would love to have you along on this incredible adventure. All right, now on to this interview episode. Here we go.
Who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Stefan and I'm from Germany, Stuttgart, so southern Germany.
Darfst übrigens gerne mich anschauen, musst nicht auf das Glas gucken.
Okay.
Do you mind telling us what you do for a living?
Well, I'm a computer person. I'm self-employed and do projects for companies in southern Germany, currently Daimler.
What made you decide to become part of the Everest Trek 2010?
Oh, that was quite easy. I like hiking in the mountains, and about a year ago I rediscovered photography for me and switched to digital DSLR photography, and so this was like the perfect combination. And well, yeah, I did not have to think much about it. I was lucky that I got a place actually, because when I first signed up, everything was full kind of, and in the second round there was somehow a place free, and so I was lucky to be here.
What's the coolest thing of this trek so far?
Well, that's difficult. Of course, there have been a lot of cool things like Everest East and North Base Camp, but I think the coolest thing was I don't know at which campsite it was swimming in the river and lying in the sun. That was like a perfect moment.
That was on the rest day, day 3 of trekking.
That was really, really great.
Is there anything that sucked?
Yeah, the weather.
Not always.
Not every, but mostly on the afternoons. The days are always great and sunny and wonderful, mostly, but then at 4 o'clock or so, you can almost set the clock to it. It gets cold and like snowy or rainy, and that sucks a bit. Well, yeah.
What type of subjects did you shoot most? Including everything, the cities and the hiking.
Well, for the last days I've mainly been shooting landscapes a lot of, because there are many landscapes while trekking, of course, and in the cities I've been shooting like faces. I've been looking for faces over and over, like not people faces. I did too little people photography actually. I wanted to do that more, but somehow I did not so much. No, but faces like in like architecture and stuff.
Okay.
Did that a lot.
Cool. Real people? Real people you didn't do much?
Yeah, I tried to, but most of the time I was too shy, to be honest. I did it several times, speaking to people and asking them if I can take a photo or something, or doing something funny. Kids are very good for that. They like playing like a role, and you can can do nice photo shootings with them.
Okay.
But yeah, I would have liked to do more. There were several times where I thought, that would be a nice picture, but then I was too shy to ask that person.
Okay.
Or I thought, if I will ask, the moment will be over and the impression in the face will be different. And yeah.
Are you more of a telephoto or wide angle shooter?
Well, I only brought wide angle here because of weight on the one hand, but more because I wanted to do more wide angle shooting, because I've done telephoto, and I think it's probably easier to do telephoto. Because it's easier to compose a picture. You have not so much stuff in it. You can easily play with depth of field, and that's much more complicated for me, at least, with wide angle things. And yeah, I wanted to do that more, so I didn't bring a telephoto, and I somehow concentrate on wide angle photography, because telephoto is don't know.
You want the challenge.
Yeah, right.
What is the favorite photo thing you brought on this trip?
It's favorite photo thing. You mean what I liked most? I did not bring any special equipment.
No gadgets?
No. Well, I brought some gadgets, but I actually didn't use any of them. I brought like a remote control and like a optical 90-degree angle viewfinder I thought might be useful, but actually I did not use any of that. I used my camera, mostly with a 17-55 lens, and for some landscapes I tried even with a 12-24.
Okay.
Which I also brought. Yeah, well.
Is there anything you would leave home next time?
Well, I did not really bring much, because I've been doing trekking several times, and so I really didn't bring much stuff which I didn't use. I used almost everything.
Okay.
I would leave, well, maybe I could leave the 12-24. I could have done it without, but it was nice here and there. And it's only like about 600 gram, so, and it was okay. No, I think I would bring everything again.
What's the most important thing in terms of photography that you've learned on this trek?
Composing wide angle shots, like using lines, and how to make a wide angle shot like not so crowded. I tried to do that and learn that. I'm not really good at that still, but when I come home and look at all my pictures, I hope that I can see the difference from what I shot before, especially for wide angle.
So we've seen a lot of huge landscapes.
Yeah.
How did you show the scale of things?
I think that's almost impossible, because it's just huge. I mean, you can of course fit it in the picture, but even in the moment when I look on my display to check the shot, it's just not the same. At least I am not able to deliver this enormous scale on a photo. I keep that in my brain mainly.
Okay, and last but not least, last question. Speaking of scale, can you explain the Marquardt scale in simple terms?
Well, it's something I usually had not to deal too much with. It's about liquidity of digestive products, mainly the ones that should not be so liquid. Or only the ones. And it's a scale from 1 to 2, whereas 2 would be like normal, and one would be like, yeah, painful, or not painful, but not so easy to handle, especially while trekking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so who you were from?
My name is Shakeel. I'm from Washington, D.C. originally.
And you can talk to me if you want to. Don't have to look to the big glass thing. What
I'll
made
do it again. This is Shakeel. I'm from Washington, D.C.
Awesome. What made you decide to become a member of the 2010 Everest Trek?
I think it was looking at the top 10 in iTunes, and I've always been interested in Everest and the Himalayas, and I think that's where it's from, but to be honest, I can't pinpoint exactly where I saw it, but I think it was the podcast.
Okay, what's the coolest thing about the trek?
Coolest thing? There's many cool things, the views and the sights, but overall I think the camaraderie, the people, just being together, learning about each other was the most amazing part. I mean, Everest kind of was the cream of the cream of the top of the sundae, but
you could say that again if you want to.
You have to give me these questions ahead. Where's my producer?
Nope.
Where's my agent?
The agent messed up here. Okay. Whatever. Well, I'm gonna cut this into small pieces anyway. And I'm reading questions
Everest
here.
was the icing on the top of the cake.
Pretty good. Is there anything about the trek that sucked?
Well, you know, the trekking part, because I've never done it before, at the beginning was very difficult. I wouldn't say it sucked, because I found that I have the ability to do it and the energy to do it, which I didn't think I had. So finding that out about myself actually is a positive.
Good. What subject matter did you shoot most?
Subject matter was basically landscape, but I did a lot of...
Including everything, with the cities and everything?
So in the cities it was people photography, and really enjoyed street photography, and met a lot of great people, and did some great street photography with the local people, as well as, you know, the group. But and then the landscape was excellent as well, but I think I'm really enjoying street photography.
Okay. Would you consider yourself more a telephoto or wide angle shooter?
On this trek, it was probably, you know, 24 to 105 was my lens 90% of the time. So most of the time, more on the wide angle side. But on street photography, I would definitely zoom in, get those face shots, get the expressions, and so forth.
So you were one of the participants with like a ton of gadgets.
Yeah.
What is your favorite photo thing that you brought?
The favorite thing would have to be two things, because it was the tripod and the intervalometer, because that really helped out on some of the shots that I wanted to get.
Okay. What would you leave home next time?
Honestly speaking, you know, if I had the same Sherpa staff, I wouldn't leave anything. If I had to carry it myself, I'd probably leave the tripod and the panoramic head.
Would you bring the same weight backpack?
The backpack is fine.
Okay.
You know, it's just what you put in it.
Okay. Sorry, I had to ask that.
No.
What's the most important thing in terms of photography that you learned on this trek?
Well, I learned a ton of stuff. Actually, learning to deal with really harsh shadows and high contrast situations, and then with street photography, it's more than just the camera. It's the interaction, and it's being able to make the other person feel comfortable to get that natural shot. You know, you don't want shots of people running away or hiding their face. So, learned a lot about that.
And you were really good about that. I remember you just going out and just,
right,
hitting it with people like no one else.
Yeah.
Awesome. When it came to landscape photography, how did you manage, or did you manage to show the scale of things?
That was very difficult. So, you know, I would try to, I did two shots. I did something with the foreground, then I just did a regular landscape shot without, you know, anything in the foreground showing the depth. Just to, when I go back home, to take a look at the difference and see what the shots look like. So it's going to be a learning, I'm still learning about that.
Oh yeah.
But you know, anytime I could put a person or some object that had some scale that somebody would recognize, I would put that in the shot.
Okay. And speaking of scale, can you explain the Marquardt scale in easy terms?
In easy terms? Well, let's just say you don't want to be on the lower end. High is better. 2.0. Not there yet, but I will be soon. Probiotics.
Cool. Thanks. That was it.
Okay.
So, first question. Who are you? Where are you from?
My name's Nicole, I'm from Australia.
Would you mind telling us what you do for a living?
Well, I'm a research analyst and I work for a asset manager.
Cool. What made you decide to become part of Everest Tech 2010?
Well, I listened to Chris Marquardt's podcast and yeah, and I heard that you know, there's this trek going on and I thought it's a fantastic idea. Yeah, I really like photography, so yeah.
Cool. What's the coolest trek, or what was the coolest trek about, no, the coolest thing about the trek so far?
Coolest thing about the trek? Well, I guess the surroundings, the environment, and the people I met, just fantastic.
Okay. Anything about the trek that sucked?
Trek that sucked? Well, I guess not being able to wash and not being able to clean for a while. That was something to get used to, and yeah, some toilet experience wasn't fun. But anyway, that's another story. We'll cover that in some other time.
Okay. What subject matter did you shoot most, and including the entire trek, including the cities and the hiking?
I think I shot a fair bit of just natural elements like flowers, snow and all those things. And I tried to shoot people, but I find that, you know, you need to capture the moment a fair bit, and I didn't always have the camera in my hand, so I'm going back and thinking about how to set that up a bit better. Yeah, and just the landscape. Yeah.
Okay. How about people in general?
People in general, yeah, I shot, you know, a fair bit of the Sherpas, you know, they're always around, and, you know, a fair bit of the team. But I find that I do probably, what do you call it, the candid shots a bit more than, you know, purpose kind of ask them to pose. Yeah.
Okay. So are you more of a telephoto or wide angle shooter?
I actually have a general purpose lens for this trip. I bought a 18 to 250 lens, and alright, we can cut out that bit.
Answer that again, please.
Okay, I bought a general purpose lens, 18 to 250, and I think it's 270, and yeah, so it's general purpose, but I think I use wide angle the most.
Okay. What is your favorite photo thing that you brought on the trek?
Favorite photo, I think it's changed about that. I actually ended up using a fair bit of the point and shoot just because it just got so cold and it was just very you know, and I didn't have the whole, you know, hanging setup, so I have to get the camera out of bag, and it was all become too hard, so I ended up using point and shoot a fair bit, and when the hard trek gets difficult, and so I was actually very happy that I had that.
Yeah, I'm using a point and shoot video camera here right now. It's much easier.
Yeah.
Yep. What would you leave home next time?
What will I leave home? Not many actually. I just brought the camera body and just I bought two lenses, but the other lens was a kit lens. It was the 18 to 55, I think, and you know, I really bought that one as a backup in case, you know, I break the general purpose one that I use, and I didn't end up needing to use that one, so I think I actually bought minimum gear, and I was glad about that.
Good. What's the most important thing you learned in terms of photography on the trek?
Lots actually, I guess. Subject, you know, not being too greedy. And
wait. Let's wait till he's gone.
Okay.
If he goes. Okay, wait.
Having a conversation.
He's having a conversation while running the motorbike and being too loud for us to record video. Man, get out this shot. Acoustically and visually.
Alright.
Yeah.
We're off.
Bye bye. Okay. So again, what was the most important thing in terms of photography you learned on the trek?
Yeah, subject, and also I guess I briefly mentioned the fast lens, the difference it makes. I'd never had a fast lens, so we were in a fair bit of low light situation, and the difference fast lens makes, you know, because I'm able to borrow from, you know, different participants and have a look at them, and it was just amazing. So
is that on your shopping list now?
Absolutely, absolutely. 50mm 1.4. Yeah, and they're not expensive and they're so small. I think they're well worth bringing. Yeah.
Totally. When it came to the landscape photography,
Yes.
how did you show the scale of things?
That is very interesting. Always trying to include people, but it's always difficult, and it's one of the things I learned, that experiences like this, oftentimes you actually have to be here, you know, because some landscapes just, you know, very hard to express in photography, and you know, even though we've got all these tools, but being there is absolutely amazing and irreplaceable. I think the experience itself.
And speaking of scale, last question, can you explain the Marquardt Scale in easy terms?
Marquardt Scale in easy terms. Okay. Well, number one is okay. So we've got every day do two things. Number one is to go to pee, and number two is the other one. And so between 1.0 and 2.0, you kind of scale where you are in terms of your number two. Not a very good explanation, but anyway, that'll do for me.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Okay, cool.
That was cool.
What's your favorite photo thing you took with you on the trek?
That's a very good question. Having the experience from last year, I didn't bring too much stuff, so it's got to be the camera, the 5D Mark II, because it is awesome in low light, and the 24-105 lens, which it's not perfect, but it's very good quality. It's heavy duty and it covers the most important range that I need. 24mm on a full frame camera is a good angle, and 105 sometimes it's a bit too short, but well, you learn to deal with that and you miss some shots. But I didn't have the energy on the trek to switch lenses too often anyway, so it's the camera and the 24-105 walk around lens. So, jetzt fragst du mich mal nach, was ich zu Hause lassen würde.
Considering next year's trek, what would you leave at home?
You know, I sent out this email to the participants where I told them about the filters and the ND filters and the polarizer and the basically ND and polarizers. I hardly ever use those, and it's got nothing to do with the energy, but I just found that if it was too bright, I was just going to shorter shutter speeds, and shorter shutter speeds most of the time worked really well because I could still use a fairly wide open aperture. I shot a lot at f8, f6.3, and it worked out just fine. So the ND filters weren't important. The polarizer up at altitude is not that important because there is not much atmosphere left, so you don't have much stuff that gets in the way when it comes to color saturation. So and I brought an Achromat, which is a close-up lens, but I never had any chances to do a macro shot, or never have had the feeling I needed to do a macro shot. It was more about the landscape, so I would leave most of my filters at home. Maybe take a polarizer, but the ND filters, yeah, not really.
Did you bring a special cleaning device for your camera?
What do you mean cleaning device?
Yeah, the camera got all dirty and
Well, I didn't bring anything special to clean the camera. But when it got dusty and dirty from the outside, I typically used baby wipes. Just plain old baby wipes to clean the camera, and that took care of most of it. So let's march on. Was habe ich gelernt?
was there anything special you learned about photography on this track?
Yes. It's interesting. I never stopped learning, and on this track I found that, well, what I learned is the best tool that you can have with you is the display on your camera when it comes to shooting pictures of people. And out in Tibet, especially with the yak herders, these guys are such a different culture, and when you shoot a picture of them, they want to see it because they know digital cameras, so they want to see the picture you just took. And that developed into sort of a game. I shot pictures of them, they wanted to see the pictures, and that they got such a kick out of it that they kept almost asking me to take pictures of them. So it kind of turned into this circle, into this cycle, where I remember one time I shot video of them building a bridge. There was a bridge that we needed to cross, and it was just out there in the Kanjung Face area, no tourists, nothing. So the bridge was brought down by probably a current or something, and they actually built that. I shot the video of it for like 10 minutes, and then they all gathered behind the video camera, because they wanted to see the video I just shot of them. So that allowed me to really get a lot of good footage and a lot of good pictures of them, because it turned in, it's hard to say, it's probably they give me something by letting me take their picture. I give them something back by showing them the picture, and that seemed to be enough for them. So the display on your camera is an awesome tool when you do people photography in a different country.
And it's important for chimping.
And it's important for chimping. I'm not saying who I had discussions with, but we had discussions about is chimping okay? So chimping is the act of looking at your camera display after the shot. They call it chimping because it used to come from like the early days of digital cameras, when you shot a picture and then you went look here, pictures. But today chimping is an important tool. You can check the histogram, you can check the exposure, you can quickly check the composition. I usually have my camera set to a 2-second review of each picture, which takes a bit more battery, but with today's batteries and cameras, that's not a problem. So, and even in the Himalayas, it's not a problem. So I take a picture and I take a quick look, just to make sure I got it, I nailed it. And exposure-wise, for me, that is really important. I want to save the detail in the sky. I want to save. I want to have enough detail in the picture to be able to work on it later, because I do a lot of post-processing on at least some of the pictures. So chimping is essential for me. That's one of the benefits of digital photography compared to film photography. So chimping it's okay. Nothing wrong with it. Jetzt frag mich noch nach Scale. Nicht nach Marquardt Scale. Das darfst du mich auch gleich noch fragen. Nee, nach der größten Verhältnissen.
How did you manage to nail down the scale of things, of nature in your photography?
Well, the problem is out there in the Himalayas. I always have problems pronouncing that. Out there in the Himalayas, the mountains are so huge and vast, and you very often lack reference points. Like if you take a picture around here, you see airplanes in the background, or you would see houses and roads and cars. So you always have this reference, or people. And out there, you cannot tell if this one big rock is as big as a pickup truck, or if it's as small as a suitcase. So adding people in there is definitely a good way to show scale. Adding something that people know, but then if it's far away and if it's just mountains, it's pretty hard to add that. So some of those shots just are impossible. I mean, it's impossible to show scale sometimes. And I have to second what Jon and Stefan said. They both said that sometimes it's best to just take it in and look at it and keep it in here, because you won't be able to shoot it and really convey the reality in the picture. It sometimes isn't possible. Some of those pictures they'll probably never see the light of day. They're documentary pictures, some of them.
Speaking of scale, there is one, I think, very famous scale named after you. Can you describe what this scale is about?
Okay, I guess you're talking about the Marquardt Scale, and it was not named after me. I named it after me. Well, I'm not gonna go into details. Everyone else explained it, but it's definitely a tongue-in-cheek thing. It's definitely something that people laugh a lot about, and it has its advantages. I'm not gonna explain to you what it's like. Everyone else did, and how it works, but it helped so much to make one important topic easy to speak about on the track, and that is when you are out there and people do their, you're out in the wilderness basically. Kanjung Face means no one else there, not even helicopters. Chinese airspace laws, whatever, don't even allow rescue helicopters. So you have these, you're out there in the middle of nowhere. You have to watch over each other. You have to take care of each other. And with all the dangers out there, and some of them lurk in the water, it's pretty inevitable that you get some GI issues over time. And part of getting through such an adventure is to make sure everyone is at their best performance. Everyone is at their health. So knowing about other people's health is important, and it's just much easier to ask someone, are you low on the scale or are you high on the scale, as opposed to trying to sneak around it and not being able to say it. It's much easier to say, hey, I'm at a 1.2 or I'm at a 1.8, yes, as opposed to saying things that involve a lot of poop terms. So I think with all the tongue-in-cheek and with all the fun we're making about the Marquardt Scale, I think it is actually a pretty valuable tool for such an expedition, because people will be much more at ease talking about their digestive issues, and they should, because people need to know if you're in good shape or if you're in bad shape. I think that covers it.
The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every day, and watching the show has become a part of many people's weekly routine. The show will always be free to download, but it's by no means free to produce. Please help me cover my costs by making a small monthly or one-time donation from the right sidebar on my website, and in return I'll give you some cool bonus materials. A donation of any amount will grant you access to some interesting video content, including high-definition versions of several podcast episodes. A one-time donation of $25 or more, or any of the monthly donation options, will additionally grant you access to a downloadable version of the film Everest: The Other Side, which episodes 1 to 61 are based on. I really cannot express how vital these donations are, and if you've made a donation, thank you so much. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywoo.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.